Hello there people, it's a 3-course kid here. Isn't that a lovely bit of painting? I didn't do it, of course. Anyway, I've got a strong cup of tea here because I'm going to need it. So the first thing I want to say to you is Capitas, Diminutio, Maxima. That's the first thing I'm saying to you. I have to write that down now so I can pronounce it right. And you may think, what's he talking about? And I'm talking about a very, very complex subject. I've had to set my alarm clock here just to make sure that I don't run over time with the first part. And it's part of my series, How the World Really Works. My little series I've been doing. Stuff I've discovered, awkward knowledge I've got over the years. This one is a bombshell, really. And I've only ever met 2 other people in my circle I've talked to, which is a small circle. But in the past it wasn't. None of them knew. About Admiralty, hang on, I choked there. Admiralty maritime law. Now what that is, Admiralty law, is one of the most powerful laws that governs basically this planet. I'm going to do this one, I'm saying now, I'm going to do it in just straightforward, common terms as only I know. It's a very, very complex subject, but I'm going to try and enlighten you on something that's been happening to you, your grandparents and their grandparents and so on and so forth for a long, long time that you don't know about. And it governs how we all live and the way we are and the way it's all been made up as an illusion in front of your eyes. Now, Admiralty law is the law of commerce, it's the law of corporations, and the sea, obviously, ships, corporations, bankers, commerce, business. That's what it is. Well, what we don't know, most of us don't know anyway, well, I do now, but a lot of people obviously don't know, is that all the departments within your city, country, wherever, government included, will take the police for one. Did you know the police were a company? A company run for profit, registered as a business. Now most of us go around thinking, these are all the, all the services that we pay for in tax and that. That's what these are. Hospitals, everything. They're all services that we pay for. Our politicians who we vote in, political parties, they're all services. Well, some would say. I personally wouldn't. But what I'm trying to tell you is, if you go on Companies House, which is a website where all companies are registered basically, there are others in America and everywhere else on the internet, just go and check out. For instance, let's take the courts, now that we've said the police, let's take the courts. Every courthouse, in every town, everywhere, is a separate registered business for profit. So there's your first clue. Everything is run for profit. Now, all this one world government stuff that's going on, this is where it relates to Admiralty law, what I'm trying to get my head around so I can say it simply. Basically, a ship docks in a berth. When it docks, it has to give over a receipt. It has to give over a registration. Well, what's on board, basically, the stock it's carrying, because it's all commerce, remember. And it gives that to the country it docks in when it lands, listing the cargo. And that company takes all, that country takes ownership while the ship's in port, type of thing. So, straight away, let's just think about what that means. What does that mean to me and you? We're all just human beings, aren't we? It means nothing to us. It's the train, by the way. I want to point this down. I don't want anyone to think I'm spying out the window at them. If they're on the train, that is, like. About 5 people here. Anyway. So I've told you that bit, haven't I? I'm getting lost now myself. Now that gives you a clue to something else. When you're born, or mum and dad have a kid, kid's born, first thing you basically have to do is register the birth. Now think about this, birth register. This is where admiralty law comes in. You go and register the birth, but what you don't know what you're doing, and this is the all important bit where we're getting conned, you don't know that when you register that birth, you give up ownership of the child and you give it to the company. That's what you're actually doing. And I know you might think now, he's gone fucking nuts. But I can assure you I haven't. I can assure you it's true, it's the law. It's just manipulated so that we don't understand it. But what has to happen is, what they're going to do with that person when you register them, if you look at the registration document, it's very similar to a ship's one. You just cargo. Very similar, as your name on, what you are. That's all it has. Stuff like that on it, you know, what it is. But it's cleverly designed so that we don't see that. And in the small print on it, which nobody ever reads, like you don't, do you? If you get a car on hire purchase or something, you don't read the agreement. All you want to know is how much does it cost and how much have I got to pay? When will it be over? Don't you? That's what we think like. That's what we're conditioned to think like, you see. Because it's all legal jargon, isn't it? For lawyers. There's your next tip. On that registration document, the birth documents, it's, you know, a little bit of small print there, it actually says you are relinquishing ownership and giving it to the company, but no one ever reads it, of course. We don't. Now what they do when you register the birth, this is those that empower these companies that run everything, like UK is registered as the Corporation of the UK, a business with shareholders, and shareholders want profit. So what they've done over time, there was a thing created called the Law Society. They invented the Law Society, and they also invented a language to go with it called legalese, which I'm sure many people have never heard of. And what legalese does, it very cleverly mimics the English language. Very cleverly mimics it. But in certain parts, it's lethal. And these are the parts that concern us, human beings, men, women, children. But we've never been told this. We've just been conditioned to go ahead and you think, you know, it's cool. I'm going to tell you how it's done now. What they do when you register the birth is they create a person. Okay? Now, this is where the language is manipulated. Because in the Law Society's language of legalese, which we don't know because we're not lawyers, the word person means fiction. That tells you straight away. What they're doing is creating a fictitious you. So they create another you. So it could be, here's Delta Blues Tips, and here is Delta Blues Tips. On the right, I'm doing this here with my hands, and you can't even see. That's what they're going to do. So every time you think of yourself, you're there, and the person is there. You've got two people. They've manipulated the word person to mean fiction. Right? And you can see this if you know what you're looking for everywhere. And this applies to everyone, remember, all of us. But you may ask yourself, why did the Law Society do that? Law Society is the language, legalese is the language of the law, society, and the language of commerce, business, and corporations. Now, here's the big thing. It only applies to members of the Law Society, okay? I'm not in the Law Society, and I suspect many millions of other of us are not in the Law Society. So you've got to say to yourself, why does it apply to us? because they manipulated maritime law, admiralty law, through the Law Society to govern us, the human race. And the human race is being governed by admiralty law, the law of the sea, as I told you before. Now you've got to ask yourself, why is that? Why are we being governed by that law? So they create a fictitious you. Right, let's just say John Smith's being born. John Smith's mother or father goes down, registers the birth, so they then create John Smith. And to prove this, anything that's been registered, or if you've got any documents at home or on your person, I'm assuming you probably have a driver's license, you'll have utility bills, you may have fines, like parking fines, anything of that nature at all, no matter what it is, even if you're doing credit, anything, you will always be addressed in the letter, always, without fail, in capital letters. And the capital letters, it's called what I told you before, Capitas, Diminutio, Maxima. That's what it's called. That's what the Law Society have called it. And they will always address you in capital letters, always, without fail. Because they're addressing the person. And remember, person means fiction. But addressing the person they've made up. So if you have to appear in court for anything, could be parking fine, bails, or whatever you've done, you will always have to turn up, of course, because you'll get arrested, you'll have to turn up. And the reason that is, because they're going to charge the fictitious person who they've made up in capital letters. But you have to represent that fictitious person. Okay? I'm just going to stop that for a sec while I stop my alarm so I can go on to the next bit.